Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome to GeoGearHeads episode 213. We're back with another randomized show. This is going to be 42. I can't believe it, Chris. We're already at 42 on these randomized shows.
You know, once we got past 39, the Roman numerals got easier to read again. 42 is easier for me to read. Or XLII, right?
Yeah, but you know the guys
It's
on
the
the
second
geocaching podcast were having a lot of problems with the XL debating what was what. So think of it this way, guys. We're giving you practice for all those puzzle caches that use Roman numerals.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not good practice if you're wondering what WrestleMania it is, though.
No.
Well, put it this way. The Super Bowl dropped the Roman numerals because it was too hard for people to figure them out.
Oh, they're just dumbing it down. Dumbing it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man.
So next randomize will be in binary, just to keep you on your toes.
Ooh, that would be fun. All right. Well, I'm Daryl W4. That's
And I'm the bad cop. Sorry, I stepped on you.
No, that's fine. And then we're very excited to have the geocaching vlogger with us tonight.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing well, and you're fresh back from a trip to a geo tour down south.
Yes, I am. I was down in Louisiana for a long weekend down in Houma, Louisiana, and I learned that there is no place like Houma.
I was going there. You beat me to it.
You were going there?
Yeah.
That's actually
Or is that the
what the
father from The
GeoCoin
Simpsons?
says. That's actually what the
No.
GeoCoin says.
That's
Okay.
really bad, guys. It's
Sorry.
worth it, but it's really bad.
So how many geocaches did you have to find to get the geocoin?
You had to find 20 of them, and I think there were 24 or 25 caches down there. And it was a lot of fun. First of all, it was nice to escape the Minnesota tundra, so that was nice.
You were able to escape the Minnesota tundra.
I was able to do that, so that was really cool. And so it was neat. I had never geocached in that sort of terrain before. I was literally in the bayou. I could have gotten snatched up by an alligator, literally. There's some exciting Periscope sessions of me in fear in an area that looked like Dagobah. I was waiting for Yoda to give me some wisdom. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really neat. And at one point I was, just to give you a little preview, at one point I was almost at the point of the Gulf of Mexico with water on me on both sides, nobody in sight, and I just felt, because I was in Louisiana, that I just needed to strip down and take my shirt off. So you have that to look forward to in your future.
Wow.
I know. I know.
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
You've done it. I'm speechless.
I know. There you go. No, but it was a lot of fun. The Houma travel agency down there, the Houma Travel, they set this up. I think not so long ago. I'm not sure how long it's been out there, but they invited me to come out there to experience Cajun cooking. I mean, if you want Cajun food, that's the place to go.
Real crawdads?
Real everything, man. I've never had so much seafood in my life. But it was great. It was authentic stuff, and the people were super nice, and it was great. It was a lot of ammo cans that were stocked full of goodies. And you gotta love that.
Nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
So was this a new Geo tour? Has it been around a while?
I'm not sure how long it's been around. I think it's just new within. I think they placed it maybe this summer. So I think it's fairly new. It's a really cool story too, because I think they went to a convention sort of for tourism people, and they heard about geotours there. They brought it back, and nobody at that travel agency had ever heard of geocaching. So they looked at the lady that was in charge of accounting, of all things, at the office, and they said, "Hey, what do you think of this thing?" That's how she learned about geocaching. And so she did her research. She became a geocacher by just learning about it at this convention, and then she went to Geo Woodstock and learned all about gadget caches and all that stuff. And now she's like an avid geocacher. So she's the accountant of Home of Travel is the one that actually hit all the geocaches, and it's maintaining them all. So that's kind of fun.
Wow.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. We do have a question from Valerina, I think is how that's pronounced, in the live Q&A, and she wants to know if you can do it in a day.
Yes. Yeah, you can do it in a day.
This isn't one of the ones that require an overnight stay to get you enough points to.
Yeah, no. It has nothing involved with getting points for staying places or eating things. It's all about geocaching.
Nice.
It's
Very
pretty
nice.
spread out, however. So you have to keep moving. I had to do it in 2 days because it always takes longer to film stuff for video.
Well, if you're filming, sure.
Yeah, but a couple highlights. There was a haunted plantation that I got to visit. There was a World War II military museum that was one of the sites that had Air Force One in it. That was that Eisenhower rode in, so that was pretty cool. There was a gator farm. That was a part of the Geo Tour, so there was a lot of cool things to see. And another neat thing about it was it was only 45 miles from New Orleans. And I don't know if you guys had ever been to New Orleans before, but down in the French Quarter, other than all the excitement down there are a ton of virtuals down there. So I had the opportunity to do some really cool jazz-themed virtuals down in the French Quarter. And I tell you, like, there's enough strangeness going on down there that when you're searching for a geocache, nobody cares. You look super normal compared to the people walking around on Bourbon Street. So,
Wow.
so.
I've been on a train named the City of New Orleans.
Oh, you've just been on a train?
Yeah,
No,
that's a different.
that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's very different. I was in New Orleans for less than 24 hours on a business trip, so that doesn't count.
No. Another thing that was cool, because Houma is outside of New Orleans, our hotel, I mean, if you did stay a night, because it's worth it because of all the food and stuff, it was only $60 a night at a pretty decent hotel. So It was pretty affordable. And they have their own Mardi Gras celebrations and family-friendly parades, and I was just really impressed. I was really impressed on what they all had down there.
There are family-friendly parades in New Orleans? In New Orleans?
Can you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
That's so one of the things I was like, I don't want to take my 15-year-old son there.
Yeah, not so much in the French Quarter, but there's like surrounding cities that have family-friendly parades. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, we have a live Q&A, and we get questions all the time during the live Q&A. So thank you guys for your input. And Mark Dowding wants to know, this is Banana Sauce, if you strip, will this become a XXX randomized show?
Are you ready? Are you ready? No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. You just have to wait.
You tease?
Yeah, I tease. Shameless self-promotion. Geocachingvlogger.com. Stay tuned. This month, you may see me half naked in New Orleans.
Do you have beads? Do I? No, I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to know.
No. Well, yeah, you'll have to wait and see.
Okay. I don't want to know what you had to do for those. Hey, but we've got no.
Sorry. Those of you that are not watching the video are completely missing the action.
Oh, maybe not. Well, each and every week we have people that send us feedback. This time we got some feedback from Brylang via Twitter. He says, on GeoGearHeads 212, hey, Daryl, he's saying Daryl, but I think he's including me as well. And Joshua, he may be including you.
Oh, good.
You missed where Go Geocaching said Markdown won't support inline images. And he gives the address there. So not every feature listed on this example will be supported, such as inline image support.
Yeah, that's very true. I did get real bogged down in the minutia of Markdown, and I forgot that geocaching.com wasn't handling all the code. And that's actually pretty common, too. Many of the tools that use Markdown won't use all the features, And it seems it's pretty rare actually to have one that does support most of the features, let alone all. And there's actually like a bunch of extensions to it too, so it gets really confusing. But according to the Help Center, we're actually looking at support for bold, which is the 2 asterisks in front and behind. So it's asterisk, the word or words, and then the 2 asterisks. And if you have a space in there, then it actually renders out the asterisk. So that's a catch. Italics is 1 asterisk on either side. Now, what's interesting and I didn't catch before is they're actually going to do support for the headers, and that's how you can change your font size. There's no support for font colors anymore. It's only the size based on headers. So you use those number signs, what we use for the hashtags, with a space, then the text, then another space, and the other hashtag, essentially.
Wait, for hashtags, you have to use space, but if you use asterisks in space, it'll render an asterisk.
Right, and that's really screwy. That's really screwy. And not all implementations are the same, so it could be that geocaching.com doesn't need the space. But most of the stuff I've seen is saying that you have to have a space now, because if you don't, then it's assuming it's a hashtag and not a header. Because you can put a full sentence in there, and it's an open and close kind of thing. So one number sign, one hashtag is the largest header 1, and then 2 is header 2, and so that's the way that it works. So it's bold and it's bigger, and then just put more hashtags in there if you want smaller text. And then the URLs are going to be supported, and that's the open bracket, link, close bracket for the actual name of the link. Then immediately behind it, no spaces or anything, open paren, the URL, and close paren. So that's how you can do the links to people's profiles, to caches, to the anything you want, the travelers, to someone's web page, and of course that's what I really look for. So really, there's no reason for most of us to learn the Markdown, since logs submitted through geocaching.com will have a WYSIWYG editor, and I think they said something about it being in the apps eventually. And let's face it, most people do straight text anyway. They're not even going to care about things like the bold or the links. But it is important for those of us entering logs through the third-party apps, because they're not going to support it, at least not right away. And especially for those of us doing the templates. So, the GeoSphere, the Cache Sense templates that we all love so much, that's where this is really going to be important. So I'll include a link in the show notes for what I found to be the best of the references for Markdown. But this is also the live question. What is the markup language to which geocaching.com will be switching their logs for geocaches and trackables on February 2nd? If you're watching us live, you can send your answer to that question for a flashlight or torch, and that's actually what it's called, is torch. And I will add that the folks on Periscope picked this out a few hours ago, so that's what the prize is this time, from GX Proxy. So send that email to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com with the title Randomize 42 with the answer and your screen name in the body. If you have that correct answer to us by 9:45 p.m. Eastern, that's 6:45 Pacific tonight, January 28th, you'll be included in the drawing. Now, you must be watching for that live drawing at the end of the show to claim the prize. If we call your name, you have until 3 a.m. Eastern or midnight Pacific to email us your address to claim that prize. Adding the mailing address to answer the email doesn't count as claiming the prize, so keep watching us and tell us what markup language will be used by geocaching.com for their logs on February 2nd, and that has to be to us by 9:45 p.m. Eastern for your chance at that UV flashlight from GX Proxy.
I missed the fact that was UV.
Actually, no, that's not UV, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was one of the other flashlights that they had the choice to pick between, and everyone wanted the torch. No one wanted the. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but it was a tie, and then we had a tiebreaker in the torch one. So
nice.
Maybe next time we'll have a UV flashlight.
I have to say, I've used that very torch in a very long 2.25 mile dark tunnel. I strapped it onto the handlebars of my bike, and it works great.
Well, not this torch, because this torch just came out of the box so that I could show it on the camera.
Well, I've used one similar to it.
Oh, okay, got it.
So they're great little flashlights. Now, did I mention we get feedback? We get a lot of feedback. This time, well, and this is a Randomize show. We do a lot of feedback on a Randomize show. So this one comes from Tangent via email. He said he listened to GeoGearHeads 212 on today's commute. And G-Slink reads Tangent's rambling drivel about how he logs, including a comment regarding not doing cut and paste logs. And then Daryl says, well, I guess Tangent doesn't like me much. And to which he replies, okay, I'll admit it. This actually made me go all stalker on you. I poked into your geocaching.com profile, Daryl, and checked a few of your geocaching days logs, and the longest log that Project GC lists for you. And what you've posted there is most definitely not by what I mean as a cut and paste log. You put a handful of lines and used a tool to auto-populate the daily and lifetime counts. That's all cool. Now, compare that to this one from a cacher near me, and a perfect example of the kind of cut and paste log I find pretty lame. The entire screen full of text, lots of information about the trip, but not one single sentence about the particular cache. And yeah, this guy posted hundreds of incidences of this exact same log. To me, that's kind of low class. You post blog entries on a blog, not on 400 geocache logs. He goes on. Compare that to another. Again, a lot of text, but he actually has 2 paragraphs that deal specifically with this particular find. It's an obvious template, but as the cache owner, I'd much rather see this than the previous example. I'd be just okay with the 2 paragraphs, though. And to be fair, I should also point out that I've never done a 100+ cache day, or cache trips for that matter. So most of my finds are, my most finds in a day is only at 24. So yeah, writing 24 logs really isn't that huge of a deal. When or if I reach the point I realize I have 100 field notes staring at me in the face one evening, my opinion may very well change.
Yeah,
so,
and I took a look at all of those logs that he provided, and really what he's objecting to is these really long, rambling logs that have nothing really to do with the trip or with the caching, but like one of them had, I think, like a dozen different caches mentioned on every cache log that he posted.
Right.
So it really is pointless, and it's just annoying clutter that gets in the way. And as a finder, I would hate that, because if I start reading back, it's like I have to read all of this junk to find out that he says nothing about this cache.
Yeah, I've seen cache logs just like that. Hey, I was up on a trip in your area and I did this and this, and I may have found it during this week or this week. Or well, wait a minute, it doesn't really tell me anything about it. Yeah, I'm glad you had a wonderful trip, but that doesn't tell me anything about my particular cache or the one I'm interested in. So
yeah. So I think that's a very good point that we really didn't talk about too much. Is the logs probably should be fairly concise. Don't ramble on, but make them interesting, of course, if you can. And that's one of the things that I liked about doing my little templates, is that I have, the find count and that kind of stuff, so it's really quick and easy. And then if I want to put a sentence or two, then I find that really easy to do with those templates. But there's nothing to say that you couldn't write something like that for each and every log. It's just, it's going to take a little longer, especially when you have something like the geocaching day when we did 100 different caches. Right. But I've seen people do that. It's a little insane, but I've seen them do that, and voice to text really tends to help out with that.
Right, and I will do that. I do a hybrid system then, I guess, because I will say, hey, I was out on this day with these people, and paste that all in there, and then do at least one sentence about the actual cache.
Yeah, that's
unless
exactly. Yeah, that's
unless it's
exactly what I do as
completely
well.
unremarkable.
Well, and Joshua, you're dealing with a lack of time because you're doing so much taping,
Right.
essentially, on all of your finds and periscoping. But
Yes.
maybe you could actually use the periscopes as a log.
Yeah, I can go back and I can embed that.
There you
Unfortunately,
go.
geocaching.com doesn't let you embed video yet. But I think
No.
that's the future. That could be the future.
There
Well,
you
yeah,
go.
they'll let you do the links, but not the
Right.
video itself. And the reason
Right.
for that is actually pretty good because if you're on a limited data plan or something, do you really want to be scrolling up and finding a video in the logs?
Probably not.
Yeah,
And
especially
as
if it
far as
autoplays.
people worrying about spoilers, I could just see there being a geocaching apocalypse with people being upset that people are showing just anything about the cache location on the actual cache page. So that will probably never happen.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's going to be a huge difference too. Is that when you're out there covering the cache on Periscope, you'll not necessarily give the cache information, but when you put it, and you only have, what you have about 75 to 100 people watching
Yeah,
at your most popular times. So that's at that moment they're not going to be able to get to it later.
right.
You have a day unless you put it on catch or whatever. But on the cache page, it's right there. It's a huge spoiler that anyone can get at any time. So
Totally.
that's a totally different situation. And getting back into the live streaming show that we did several weeks ago, that's definitely a spoiler kind of thing that you don't want to do.
Totally.
But logging was a huge
Mhm.
hit with our audience, and we got another show coming for sure because we got more feedback, including this voicemail.
Hello, Daryl and Chris. This is Limax out in the San Francisco Bay Area. Listening to the show on logging, and I've got to the part where Doc Firewoman was talking about doing like a did not find or needs maintenance when there is evidence. I had a situation like that happen to me. I was finding a geocache out at the Sonol Water Temple, and I don't have the GC code off the top of my head, not like I could even look it up while I'm driving. But I can't remember. It's either a mystery or a multi-cache. Either way, it is a field puzzle as opposed to a sit-at-your-desk puzzle. And I thought I had done everything correctly, and I thought I was in the right spot. And when I went to look there, I thought I saw evidence of a destroyed cache container. So after that, I actually kind of gave up and put it in my DNF and said, I think that the cache has been destroyed. I found evidence. I don't think I did a needs maintenance. In fact, I'm almost sure I didn't do a needs maintenance on it. Only to get a note from the cache owner saying, well, it's still there. And turns out I was looking in the wrong spot, and I hadn't looked hard enough. And once I found it, I felt kind of foolish. But there you go. It happens.
Yeah, I've done similar kind of things, and that's why I don't do needs maintenance logs very often. But I will do notes. I'll post the notes a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know several times I will find swag left around the cached area that could be interpreted as the cache is being muggled or destroyed or whatever, and really it's just people being careless with the swag and dumping it out somewhere. And I could see how that could be misinterpreted as the cache being destroyed as well.
Yeah, and I've had a few of them where you'll find like the pen or pencil or like an old logbook or something outside the cache or log sheet usually because it's not a whole book that tends to blow away, but it's something dropped out and no one noticed when they put it back. So you start seeing those kind of things, and it's like, ooh, I think this cache is gone, and then a little bit more searching, and there it is.
Yeah, sure enough.
Well, good. Hey, and we got more in the live Q&A. This one comes from Mark of O'Beep. He says, it's not quite the same, but we used a Periscope recorded video as the hint to one of our caches.
That's pretty cool. Mark, you send me the link to that because I want to check that out.
Could you explain? Could you explain more of what? Do you have any more information about that?
Not yet. Hold on. Hey, Mark, can you send us more information?
So
hopefully we'll be getting that. But I'm assuming that they have a link to a video somewhere else, probably on Catch, because I know that they were using Catch as well. And that is the hint for the people who want it to find the cache. I'm assuming Sam's out there molesting the cache.
That would make sense. I just think, Periscope in nature is supposed to be temporary, so I'm like, well, that hint is going to last for 24 hours, and then no hint anymore. But I'm sure it's a saved Periscope.
No, he records it every day, fresh.
Yeah. Fresh, yeah. He replays it.
Goes back out to the cache. That'd be commitment.
It's a fresh performance. Oh, jeez. But yeah, Catch is something that he's been using. I think he actually started using it before I started using it, even though I told him about it. So it is a very, very nice one. And he did reply in the live Q&A. We did a live recording of the cache hide. Sam is doing his usual thing.
What exactly does that mean, his usual thing?
Drinking hot cocoa.
Oh, yes, that's it, of course.
Yeah.
And talking about Canada.
So Tendament wrote in on GeoGearHeads 209 Randomize XLII, or 41 for those who can actually read Roman numerals. Covered loads of interesting issues and ideas for the development of caching. Hopefully Groundspeak has been taking notes. Another issue. I'd love this one to be discussed sometime. Well, here you go, right now. When you visit the cache page, you've already found there's a smiley and the date when you visited it. I'd love to see the same for trackables. I'd love to know when I picked up or discovered a coin or travel bug, whether I've seen it before. The geocaching.com database must surely hold this information, and it would be a huge piece of work, would it? Would anyone else like to see this feature added? Indeed, it's already possible using another app or API service.
Well, Daryl, is it possible?
I'm sure that something like GeoTribes would do that for you, but I have not checked it out myself. I do wonder, though, if it is all that simple for them to install that, because you're talking about different types of logs, and they probably have to do something to show that it's a discover versus a found or a grabbed or whatever log. So that's going to be a little bit more challenging than the others.
Yeah. Have you guys ever found a geocoin or a trackable on two separate occasions? Like you find it, pick it up, drop it off somewhere, and then all of a sudden you find it again. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Oh yes, many times.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But it's hard to remember. I think it would be cool if you had something pop up on your phone or whatever that said, "Hey, you picked this up in 2008." Because
Terminator 18 says yes to that in all caps. I've wanted that forever. And I'm sure that I've discovered the same trackable more than once. So, that is a common problem. Moving, if you're moving it, you're moving it. It's, I always like to help a traveler on its mission. So I don't really object to that. But the discoveries, I'm not sure how much help it would be to have that on the page, since I tend to do most of my discoveries just through Project-GC. But wouldn't it be nice if Project-GC had an option, don't rediscover an item? Something else to think about.
Something to think about.
And show me all the geocoins that I've discovered that Daryl hasn't found. That would, no.
Or how many trackables does Daryl own that I have yet to discover and have to
there you go.
The tracking codes?
Can we count that high?
Yes, I'm sure we can.
Okay.
Mostly because not all of my trackables are in my account. All right, well, let's move on to more voicemail on trackables.
Hello, Daryl and Chris. This is Limax. Just listening to your show on travelers, and you're talking about proxies and people putting out multiple proxies on a traveler. I had something very similar to that that I encountered recently. When we were in Florida back in November, kids and I took a day trip down to, now I've just forgotten the name of the town, which is really, really bad of me. There was a parrot museum there, which is the reason we went down there at St. Augustine. That's where we were. We were in St. Augustine, Florida. And in the visitor center there is a geocache. And when I was kind of going through the pages of the log, somebody had stamped a travel bug into the log. And so I discovered it and said where I had discovered it. But that was another interesting way that somebody actually did a proxy. You just got to the part about having your travelers on cars. I do have one on my car. It's called the Sobbing Owl Must, I think if I remember correctly. And it's actually in its third incarnation. It's on the third car that I've had it for. And I'm not one of those people that actually does it magnetically, but I've got one of the bigger Travel Bugs stickers. I got this one from Debbie Does Decals. And it's a very nice sticker. Thing is, there again, it does not get discovered as much unless I happen to be in an event. I thought with the bigger sticker, I'd get discovered more. I think what I need is a billboard-sized one to stick on my roof.
Well, if it's on the roof, how many people would actually discover it?
Maybe it's like one of those Domino's pizza lights that they just attach to the top.
Yeah. It's going to ruin his gas mileage, but, you know, it's all for geocaching.
Ooh, I know. What we need is one of those silly signboard things in the back window that, you know, scrolls the trackable number.
I was thinking like cool. The signboard truck.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You know, the flatbed truck with the big signs on it. That's what we need.
You know what? At this point, I'm thinking one of the ice cream trucks.
Oh.
With the loudspeakers and everything.
Oh, those are annoying.
Exactly.
I love it.
like the thing that the Blues Brothers did to promote their concerts.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, a lot of discoveries then.
So there you go, Limax. Now you know exactly what you need to do.
Limax just needs to start commuting in an ice cream truck. I wonder how long it would take to drive you insane from hearing that music over and over.
No kidding.
Like a day.
Hey, Wet Coaster wants one of those Ontario license plates that's trackable. Do you guys remember this? They actually have trackable license plates in Ontario now.
Are you serious?
All license plates are trackable. That's why they were designed. Each one has a unique number.
But trackable on geocaching.com.
Oh, yeah, you just have to use a different set of software to find it otherwise. Yeah, but they actually came up with the Travel Bug logo on these license plates in Ontario. I don't know if they're still available, but that I thought that was a cool idea.
That is really cool.
That was a great idea. I'm wondering how that deal actually went down and how it worked, but how
somebody asked
that?
How did they explain that? I mean, there's a lot to explain there. They must allow a lot of things on their license plates in Ontario if geocaching is one of the options.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and it's probably one of those situations that it's not a special tracking number or anything. It's probably just this typical license plate code, and they run them into Groundspeak's database of trackables somehow.
Are there enough digits? There must be then.
I think there's too many digits because I think they have 7 or 8 digits.
Oh.
So that's probably how they can get away with it.
Wow.
I
wonder if it has an icon. Do you think it has an icon, like a license plate icon?
I would have to think it would. Maybe Wet Coaster can tell us if he knows for sure if that's the case.
That would be cool.
In the meantime, Chris, you want to read the other feedback that he left in the live Q&A?
Yes, because, Wet Coaster, he's popular in the Q&A. And he says, have you ever found your own trackable in a cache and didn't know it was in the cache beforehand? Daryl, you've got 18 billion trackables out there. Has this ever happened to you?
I was just about to say yes. Yes, I have. many times. I had so many trackables running around that it was impossible for me to figure out which was which and which one. And this is also in the days before smartphones, so it was really common that people would move a trackable and not have it marked into or out of a cache by the time someone got there.
All right. Should we move on?
Well, we have the answer from
oh, sweet.
Wet Coaster on those license plates, and it has the old geocaching multicolored logo, and he does give us the URL, and it looks like it's only 6 characters, so that could be a little bit tricky.
So I went there, and it's under Sports and Recreation with all the other team logos, so the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Raptors. Geocaching is just tossed in there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool, though.
It was cool.
So obviously somebody, within the government system, their geocaches, and just had that logo tossed in with all the others. That's
Maybe,
what I think.
but if it's trackable, I think you have to deal with groundspeak.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's something going on there. All right, Josh, what's our next feedback?
Yes, our next feedback is from Shermanator18. She says, I can relate to a few of the points that were brought up on the Travelers Show this week and something to add about cache logging. I was recently driving from New York to Florida over a period of 2 days. I do have a smartphone. I do sometimes use it for geocaching, but for this long trip, for the sake of saving data, I don't have unlimited. I was using my GPS and was then going to log the caches I found for the day through GSAC on my laptop when I got to the hotel that night that had access to Wi-Fi. I found a cache in Pennsylvania and had a trackable whose mission it was to get to a specific place in the state. I dropped this trackable in the cache and made a note of it on my GPS. I continued on my way. A few hours later, I get an email saying that a cacher with approximately 300 finds had grabbed this trackable from me. I was very surprised to see that someone had found that cache so soon after me. When I was stopped at a rest area, I sent this cacher an email saying that it is probably a good practice to wait at least a few days before grabbing a trackable from someone, or at least email the last person who had to see it what was going on and ask if they would drop the trackable in the cache and retrieve it again to have the correct mileage. This cacher sends me this nasty email back saying that if I was a responsible cacher, I would have logged the trackable into the cache immediately, and that I was in the wrong for not doing so. He said he shouldn't have to wait for me to be a responsible cacher, and that if I'm too busy to log my caches as I go, then I shouldn't cache. Ooh. I know that I could have dropped this trackable when I found the cache, but I was moving and had to keep on driving. I did log all my caches with the other trackables later the same day when I got to the hotel. Geocachers didn't always have cell phones, and it started with people waiting until they got home and using their computers to log their finds. I agree with you, Daryl, that if someone still has a trackable in their possession that I found in a cache, I will wait a few days for them to drop it into the cache. And I will also message them asking when they planned on doing that. If it gets to be more than a week with no response, then I will grab the trackable from them.
Sounds like a very inconsiderate cacher they found. All right. With that, Chris, what's our next one?
Well, I think it's a rare thing to find an inconsiderate cacher, but those inconsiderate cachers tend to be quite vocal.
Yeah, they're loud and noisy, and tend to destroy it for the rest of us.
Right. Now, leading into this, I'm not implying at all that the next cacher is inconsiderate. In fact, I believe this to be the opposite. Let me just lay that out there first. We have a message from BMars7391 that says, I received this log on one of my trackables last July 15th, 2015. It was last logged on July 14th, 2012. So almost 3 years to the day later, from a cacher posted a note found this at a thrift shop.
What? Is this the
Speaking
part?
of-
Is this the
speaking
part
of
where I
thrift
start?
shop-
Is this the part where I start rapping Macklemore thrift shop?
Exactly.
Is this my time?
This is it. I couldn't find a better segue for you, since you look like Macklemore.
Yeah, today I apparently do. Yeah. If I found a trackable at the thrift shop, well, A, that's too bad that happened, but that is hilarious and awesome.
Would you buy it?
Yes, I would buy
Yes.
it. I would buy it. That is so funny.
You got to wonder how that happened, though. Did
Right.
someone have it and drop out of caching and just donate their cash bag? Something? Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of
be.
weird.
Yeah.
Could have been in somebody's pocket.
Very true.
I could see that happening.
Donated the code or donated the bag, and
Yeah. They probably thought it was a keychain.
Yeah, because we talked about it on that show. It's really common that you'll get people telling you that they dropped the trackable in the car and they didn't find it until the car was detailed before selling it or something like that. So you just got to think, is this something that like fell down into the crap? Yeah, that's cool that it came back to life.
I'm kind of just amazed that the thrift shop workers thought it was something that they could sell.
Yeah, something valuable enough to put a price on.
it was big and shiny. Of course they could sell it.
All right, so our next one comes from Dano of Team Pugach, and he emailed about a free GPS offline maps for iPhone option called TrackKit. Well, I looked it up, actually grabbed it myself, but it was free for a limited time. It's $2.99 US now, but the offline maps are always free. The more interesting thing about this app is that it does seem to record and share track files. It supports GPX, KML, KZM, or KMZ, and CSV formats. So for those looking for a way to record track files on their iPhone to use with whatever, here's a good option, I think. I haven't had a chance to actually try it out. But, of course, we'll put the link in the show notes to anyone who wants to check it.
That sounds cool. Yeah, that's something I need to go look at.
Yeah, for $3, it's not that bad, and it is kind of nice to have those offline maps. And it's open source ones like the OpenStreetMaps and Cycle Maps, that kind of stuff. But I don't think it has a way to actually use it for like geocaching. So without that, it's reference, but not necessarily really a handy tool. But again, I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, so it may or may not. You download it if you want to do the tracks, because that's what it looks like it does for sure.
I see it up to $4.99 now.
Oh, is it?
Simply because we're talking about it, the price has gone up.
Oh,
That's the kind of influence we have on the market, Daryl.
That's amazing.
There we go. Oh well. So
And no,
$5, maybe not. All right, and then we also got word from GPS World that the first GPS 3 satellite has completed its critical test. And Rick Ambrose, who's president of Lockheed Martin Space Systems of Denver, had actually tweeted this, that it had successfully completed its thermal vacuum test.
That sounds
Wow.
like it sucks.
Yeah, so they're working on this now. They've just completed the test, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And the first satellite, this one that they just tested, isn't due to launch until 2017. So it gives you an idea of how long the lead time is on these things. Because they've had this one sitting in the warehouse essentially for like a year before it even goes up into space. So all of the stuff that they have to go through after the thing is assembled enough that they can complete the vacuum test. This is kind of scary, but there's going to be a total of 8, I think, of these satellites. Yeah, it's looking like there's 8 of these satellites on the contract with up to 4 more as an option. So it could be 12 of these GPS 3 series satellites.
What's so great about these satellites, Daryl? Do you know anything about them?
It's essentially the next generation. we've been on the 2 series for a long time, and this is just the next generation that's going to be more resilient. Is the big thing to a lot of stuff like jamming, and it's also supposed to give us better signal strength and better accuracy.
Will we be able to will we be able to geocache indoors? Is the question.
No,
probably
you're still not going to be able to geocache indoors. That wavelength is not so good.
Not so great.
Yeah, not for breaking buildings or building busting. Wow. A building busting satellite. Wait a minute, they probably actually have those. We don't want one of those. So it's a building busting signal.
We need roof penetration.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking they might have a roof or a building busting signal too, some kind of like ultrasound. So that wouldn't be so good either.
Well, by computer terms, this thing's going to be 3 years old when it launches, and in computers, that's ancient. That's that's a whole generation or two behind already. So you think about it, the GPSs, the satellites we're currently using, are 20 plus years old.
Oh, well, we still have satellites up there.
From the 60s?
I don't think they're actually functioning anymore, but from the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So they were part of the system until fairly recently. So that's the thing, is these systems need to be replaced every... I think the lifespan was only rated at like 10 or 15 years, and they've been running for 30 and 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we need to replace these. At one point... they were warning that the system would hit a critical point in which they didn't have enough redundancy in the system that you could run into problems. And they're still warning right now of potential jamming issues. So the more satellites they have up there and functioning, the better it's all supposed to be.
And it's really hard to get up there and change the batteries.
Yeah, you can't change the batteries. If you have to go up there and, do something like change out a hard drive, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Daryl, do you know, once these are functional, do they work in conjunction with the satellites that already are up there, or do they just work independent? They do.
Yeah, no, it's all part of the same system, and we have all different generations of Surf. No, that's not Surf 2. It's shoot, I can't remember, but the GPS 2 satellites are, everything up there. I think the current version is revision F that they've just finished launching. And I think there's one more of the 2 Fs that they're still going to launch. I might be wrong. It could be 2 or 3 more.
I think you're... Well, at least one more. Right.
Yeah.
But I can't remember after that.
Yeah, and there was one that was launched like end of last year, if I remember. So they are still launching the Surf. Or the Surf. I keep calling it Surf. That was one of the chipsets.
Surfstar. Yeah.
But the GPS 2 satellites are still launching those latest generation, and the 3 is the next generation of technology. It's just they had to get the 2s up there to fill in all these holes.
Gotcha.
Amazing, right? Well, we've had a lot of different topics tonight. And at the beginning of the show, we mentioned a giveaway for 4 of a torch from GX Proxy. And the live winner, and I think it's purely based on the number of words in the email sent. No, that's not true. Was Shermanator 18. The only reason I say that is because Shermanator 18 in the in the live Q&A says, "Sorry, Josh, that email was so long." It made me super frustrated when that happened. So, Shermanator 18, congratulations. Give us your mailing address in an email, and we'll get that light right out to you.
And thanks again, Shermanator 18, and to the rest of the patrons for your support of the GeoGearHeads show. Now, we are going to have a patron bonus recording almost immediately after this, so hopefully if you're watching live, you'll be able to join us for that. And check the patron feed. Plus, February 16th, mark that down, that's going to be our next patron live hangout. So if you can join us, and you're a patron, of course, on February 16th, we'd love to have you in the chat room and talk with us. Check the Patreon post that's going to be coming for that, and, of course, Google+.
That's right. And those patron hangouts are even more randomized than this show, if you can believe it. Now, if you'd like a chance to win a membership to project-gc.com, there's just a couple of weeks left. Get your questions in for Jennifer of Team AJK for your entry into the drawing, and you could have Jennifer answer your question on the show. Now, we're focusing on puzzle hiders angles on this time. So direct those questions to us by emailing geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com by February 9th at 6 p.m. Pacific with your question. Title that email question 215 and include your geocaching.com screen name in the body of the question. Now, we've already received several questions about how much is too much for a puzzle, how to provide clues, geo-checkers, the lack of interest by finders. That's an interesting one, or a lack thereof. Whatever your question about hiding a puzzle cache might be, have it into us by February 9th at 6 p.m. Pacific, that's 9 p.m. Eastern, to be entered into the drawing for a membership to project-gc.com. Remember, that's question 215 in the subject and an email to geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com. Since we love hearing your question in your own voice, like Limax did today, I'm just saying, email an audio file or call it in to 206-350-3647, and you'll get a bonus entry into that drawing. Now, we're still just at 4 voicemails for that show, but we're hopeful we'll get more in before the deadline, so there's still a good chance for you to win.
There is. And, you can always send us voicemails on any of the show topics that we have. And as you kind of heard from Limax's voicemails, you're more than likely to get in the show because we love those voicemails. So, February 4th, next week, for GeoGearHeads 214, we're going to have Rock Chalk on to talk about caching ethics. I'm really excited because he's going to be talking more from a personal perspective than from the official geocaching perspective, because in a lot of cases it's there's no official position, so it's going to be good to get a viewpoint like that. And of course, February 11th, I'm already talking about April, but February 11th is going to be that puzzle show with Team AJK. 18th, we're going to be talking cache series with Lookout Lisa and Kid Vegas. Then we're excited to have the guys from coinsandpins.com again. But they're not talking about coins. They're going to be talking about boating. And this time we're going to take a look at boating and placing boating caches. So that's going to be February 25th. So it's all of your GeoGearHeads recordings through the end of February. So check out all of that and more at the upcoming caches or upcoming shows. Chris, I'm not sure that the patron show is going to be all that good because I'm having so many problems with my words already.
Well, if you want to find out more, go to geogearheads.com/upcoming for those upcoming show notes, upcoming show listings. There we go.
Okay, close enough. We're just not doing so well at the end of this episode.
No. Do you guys want me to take over? I can in any minute. So.
Would you? Do you know how to talk? Because we're not good
I can
at
try.
that. We know good at talking. We talk no good. Okay. What we really want you to do is, besides forgiving us for all our errors, is check out the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes from this and all our episodes. Now, we love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by calling 206-350-3647, by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com, or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniac shows coming. So please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniac shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2016 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.